7:32 and Pix 11 is your local election headquarters, and there's a crowded field of Democratic candidates who want to unseat Mayor Eric Adams in the upcoming election.
One of them is a familiar name, Scott Stringer, who for months has been hinting that he is running for mayor, raising money, hearing from voters. So I sat down with him as he makes it all official this morning. And Scott Stringer is joining me now. Good to see you.
Good morning.
To make an announcement that some might say is the worst kept secret in New York City, but you're doing it here and you're doing it exclusively on Pix 11. So what do you have to say?
Well, I've decided that I'm entering the race for mayor. This is official. I've spent the last year traveling the city, raising millions of dollars from thousands of people, talking about the issues I care about in all 5 boroughs. And today, after discussions with my wife and my 2 amazing kids, I'm entering the Democratic primary with every intent to win the race and restore this city to a place that can be once again aspirational. But also, I believe we need an adult in the room who's going to tackle our major issues and fix City Hall. And that's why I'm running. So I'm excited to tell you that.
I appreciate you making the news here. And you have a long career in politics, Mr. Stringer, right? And let me ask you this. Why this time do you feel is your time, right? You look back at the last mayoral election. It was ranked choice voting the first time. You came in 5th place there. Why is this your time?
Look, I think people are now buying what I'm selling. And the question is, where is New York today? We need a manager. We need someone with experience and competence, but we also need a mayor with real vision. And my 30 years in public service is actually an advantage if we're going to fix this city. We need somebody who understands how to get things done. And this is not a time for a mayoralty on training wheels. We've seen what happens when we don't have people with experience in government. So I offer my candidacy on that basis.
Let's talk about public safety, top of mind for so many people. Governor Hochul just gave her State of the State address that she wants more police officers on the subway, 1 officer on every train from 9 to 5 a.m. You have a proposal now that you're announcing today, putting an officer on every train indefinitely every hour of the day. How does that work?
Well, a couple things. First of all, putting the military below ground and doing things, police surging is not the solution. We need to hire 3,000 more cops. We're at the lowest police count in a generation. Mm-hmm. Let's stop paying overtime, reusing the same police officers over and over again. They're leaving the police department. So we need 3,000 fresh faces in the subways, above ground. We also need police to understand that we have to align mental health initiatives with policing. So it's not just about police, it's also about mental health professionals. This is going to take a lot of work over multiple agencies, and I know how to do that. Second, a cop on every train. Look, I just had a kid experience, right? My son took the train home from school for the first time with his friend.
Yeah.
As a parent, I was nervous. I'm scared about what's happening below ground. And I want to make sure that there's a cop there on the train if needed. And also police and social workers on the train. Let's help the people who are suffering, the people with mental health issues, people who are homeless, who are dying on our trains, and our kids are watching on their way home for this happening.
Right, but how do you do it? When you look at the numbers, right? You need 3,000 additional officers. You put a cop on every train. Where are you getting the numbers from, and how do you pay for that?
Here's the advantage about being controller for 8 years. I know I have the skills to pay the bills, and I'm not going to overpromise New Yorkers. I think New Yorkers have had enough of this. But look, our overtime has doubled now in the police department, from $650 million to, I think, $1.3 billion. And what are we getting for it? Absolutely nothing. So rather than keep putting cops on these crazy shifts where they just can't throw up their hands and they leave, just hire more cops.
But it's not that easy. How do you do it? There's a recruitment problem.
Well, let's go recruit. What are we waiting for? Let's go into the neighborhoods. Let's go to the kids. Let's go to the schools and say, look, you can be a police officer. And it's not just about law enforcement. You can also play a role in prevention, helping in the neighborhoods that you grew up in. But no one is asking them. No one is being aspirational and say this is a career track that can actually help people. So I hope to be able to not just recruit, but also ensure that the money will be there long term. Yeah. And that's tackling overtime. How did Eric Adams allow this overtime to balloon? Well, you know what happened? The police department was taken over in the most corrupt way, and we're not finished with those investigations. So when I'm mayor, we're going to go to the top of the NYPD and clean it out. Put in financial professionals who will know how to manage overtime, reduce it, but also put cops on the beat, and then also take that money and drive it into a mental health program.
I want to talk about affordability because it kind of goes hand in hand with this, right? And in terms of paying for cops, you have this idea, which again you're announcing today, of extending the school day to 4:30. What does that look like for a parent, and how do you pay for that? Are teachers getting paid more to be in the classroom longer?
Hey, look, I'm a public school kid. My children go to public school. The dangerous moment or the dangerous hours for children is after 3 o'clock and before dinner. And so we've got to keep kids in school longer. So our school day extension is about tutoring. It's about reading, writing, stem cell, chess, after-school athletics. And let's just finally recognize that we have to upend the education system and extending the school day. You know, I've talked to teachers and education professionals, and everyone that tells me, and as a parent I know this, that school day extension will not just help children, but will also help parents. We have a lot of single parents who just can't get their kids at 3 o'clock. They're working, they're trying to pay the rent, they're struggling. Why can't we help them? $500 million to do this program is something that I think is doable.
I got to ask you one final question here, and it's about poll numbers right now, because there's somebody who hasn't declared candidacy yet, Andrew Cuomo. He is 32% in the most recent poll, right? And you are in a second place now with 10%. How do you beat the Cuomo factor if he jumps in?
Look, we've seen this movie time and time again, right? Someone with high name recognition and high negatives gets off to an early start. Usually the person in second place wins this race at the end. I did this when I ran against Eliot Spitzer, another former governor. I'm prepared to take Cuomo on. Look, do you really want to replace the chaos of the Adams administration with the chaos and failed governorship of Andrew Cuomo? I think New Yorkers are going to look and say, why can't we have somebody who has vision, who has competence, who has the experience to do this job, and someone people can trust from an ethical perspective?
All right, got to leave it there. Scott Stringer, thanks for being here.
All very interesting as the race for the Democratic primary gets more and more crowded by the day. And of course, the big question is, will Andrew Cuomo jump into the race as well? If he does, it's a whole different ball game. But Scott Stringer, the latest now to enter the race.